Hi, this is Molly. I wanted to come on here today to talk about pain and to talk about the practice of staying present with our pain. What would the purposes of that be? Of moving away from a habitual process of seeking distraction from that pain and coming into presence. So, I was inspired to talk about this today because I am feeling a lot of pain myself today in my heart. This isn't really going to be a video about physical pain, although I think the same premises could apply, but I would want to speak about it differently. So we'll just put that aside for a separate video if I decide to speak on that another time. This really is going to be mainly about like the emotional pain body. And just so everybody knows, I haven't actually said this at the beginning of any of my other videos, but all of these videos that I do, I don't plan what I'm going to say. I just feel kind of inspired to speak on a topic. I pick the topic, I turn the camera on, and so this is mainly just an intuitive message, guided from me, from my higher self, source, whatever. And I hope it resonates with you. And if not, that's fine too. So, something that I was thinking about when it comes to pain, actually, I wasn't thinking about it, I was feeling it, is this experience that we're never going to stop having pain. And that kind of made me feel sad or a little despondent because it's like the pain is never ending, which can lead to feelings of like hopelessness, I think. But it is two sides of the same coin of like the pain is never ending, so there doesn't need to be this big fight against it either. I think that something that I personally grapple with in like healing in my karma in this lifetime is that I have to fully heal myself, which is why I made that video on healing. And I have to get to this place of like arriving in life that I don't, that doesn't exist. And it's grasping for this thing that is never going to come. And so that's keeping me in a perpetual state of lack of awareness, lack of appreciation for the present moment, an ability to honor what is truly, to really be embodied in the experience that God or source or higher power, has chosen for me, and to appreciate that experience fully for what it is without denial or escapism. Even like to a level accepting that there will be denial and escapism. So like the plot thickens, I don't know. But this feeling I was having is that, pain doesn't change, it like doesn't go away necessarily, it just metamorphosizes. And so it comes in these like cycles. And so while it may not like ever stop, like stop permanently, even I don't think with death it stops, because I believe in reincarnation, just like that samsara idea, right? But it does change in the sense that we continue to have experiences that are renewed because of that pain. Like that pain really shows us lessons, and then we come into joy and we come into ecstasy, and the joy also never ends as well. And they both pain and joy end in the present moment, in these temporary like fleeting feeling states, but they're just experiences that will come back around again. And so in this attempt to be grasping for the next thing, which is also like the avoidance of the present moment that I was trying to connect this to, and like of denying pain, of trying to just feel better, it is missing the point that it's always going to come back. And so as long as it's going to come back, we may as well make like a comfortable place for it, for pain and for processing like the actual felt experience of pain in our bodies, in our hearts, Because even though I'm talking about emotional pain here, right, we know that like the actual experience of emotions is not mental. Like that's like an illusion that we have been taught, that emotions are like a mental experience and they're something that we describe, which we can describe emotions with our intellect and with words, but emotions are not a thought. Emotions are a physical feeling in our bodies. That is something new that I'm exploring somatically in my life as well, after being pretty disembodied most of my life. So that's kind of a new experience for me to like notice, like, oh, I actually physically feel my heart aching right now. Or even like I feel my throat being kind of raspy right now as I'm talking, and that's connected to an emotion as well. And just bringing more presence and awareness into those two experiences, just to feel them and accept them. And as I do, they start to metamorphosize, often very slowly, so it can be very hard to watch. It's like actually see it happen, because it's kind of like compost, changing and morphing slowly, but it does happen. And I think that, something that's come to my mind is like, well, if pain is everlasting and it's always going to come back and there's no solving it anyway, and there is no like ultimate place to arrive at healing, like, why wouldn't people just seek out distraction and addictions for their entire lives? Because there is no right or wrong, right? Why wouldn't we do that? And absolutely, like, that can be a choice that somebody makes, and that doesn't make them a greater or a lesser human. So there's no judgment on their soul because of that. But I believe like part of the reasons for having these experiences is because it deepens our comprehension of what it means to be human, to experience life, and to be source experiencing that life through a human body. Like how even the experience of grief can be a really great transcendent experience of just being present with what grief is and understanding the beauty of it, the beauty in the pain of it, and the learning of it, and the growing of it. And that's an experience that, I could never put into words for you, because your experience would be different than my experience. And so to feel pain is also to feel the divine uniqueness of all of our expressions of life. And so when we're seeking a distraction or an addiction, I just see that as seeking out a same experience over and over again, which for many times in our life is what we need. We need something that's predictable, that we know it's going to happen. Even the experience of like getting really drunk and feeling terribly hungover the next day can be preferable to the experience of actually exploring the darkness and the unknown that is our emotional states. Because when we get drunk and hungover, we know what that pain is. We can kind of anticipate what's going to happen. But when we go into our feeling states, mindfulness, presence, meditation, it can be a little terrifying because we have no clue what's coming. But it can also be intoxicating and exciting for the same reason. It's like, wow, like this could be anything. And I just get to experience it, and I won't know until I do experience it, which is kind of like this concept of like gnosis, which the only real truth that we know is the truth that we have lived experience and like felt throughout our lives. And so we have to go through, like, the only way out is through. We have to go through that experience to learn and grow from it. And so I really think pain is connected to evolution, is connected to, reincarnation, is connected to lessons, just learning lessons, and not to learn lessons to get to a place of being all knowing. And you've learned all the lessons, you're done, but just to have another lesson after that. And so we can kind of slow down into the pain and have those experiences and learn, strengthen that muscle. Like for me, it's in my heart today of just releasing and accepting into that pain. Maybe crying, maybe resting, maybe just feeling even empty. Just accepting all those things that are there, the complexity of what is there. Because really, the choice that we have when it comes to pain is seeing it as something that is needed to be fought over and avoided and constantly kind of pushed back, which will just have it spring right back in our faces, right? Or being brave enough to surrender to it and to allow that experience of pain and to be curious about that. And I think that we can turn to love, love and a sense of whatever higher power you believe in, whether that's nature or God or whatever, trusting that this experience is bringing you to a deeper wisdom and something that you can hold, you can carry with you in your experiential body that will help you. It's kind of like if you're in a video game and you defeat a new level, and so it gives you a new sword or something that you can put in your little sack that you carry around. I don't know, I don't play a lot of video games, but I'm thinking of Zelda or something. So trying that out and just seeing what the experience is, because you really can't know what I'm describing until you have that experience. And then we still have to have many, many, many more experiences after that. It keeps being unknown. I think that's personally what's so daunting and scary about it for me, because it just doesn't stop, It's it can be really overwhelming to think that there isn't a place where it just stops. But that's okay, because that's what the present moment really is. It's not a stopping or trying to make it end forever, but just knowing that we always get to be with it, and we can bring so much love to it. We can give all that love to ourselves that we need. It's really real for me, these experiences. And I really have this felt experience of how important it is to share this, to be vulnerable with this, because this is something that I masked my whole life, sharing my raw, vulnerable emotions. And so I am really open with this now, to model that it's okay to be a human. And crying is just as natural as breathing. And there's no need to fight it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It is such a gift that our body naturally does that. Actually, if you don't know, when we cry, it's because we're having such an intense emotion. This is why we cry when we're feeling really happy too. We're having such a big emotion that the chemicals in our brain get so full that the tears are released to let some of those chemicals out. Which is why after you have a really big cry, you might have a really nice sleep or something like that, because it just kind of cleanses you out, and then you get to start over. But when we hold that in, we're holding in all of those chemicals that need to be released. And so it's a natural body's process. It's okay to feel scared to let it out, because we've been conditioned that way. But as you decondition yourself, as you give yourself that love and acceptance that all those feelings are okay, whatever you're experiencing is totally okay, you'll see they can't hurt you. They can only teach you. I just share my little pieces of wisdom that I have along this journey from my experience in a very disorganized way, because I think that's the way that I'm meant to share. I think if I shared any other way, I would just feel paralyzed by posting a video. And I personally love watching very what would this be called? Non-produced videos, So I share the type of videos that I enjoy, and I hope, that it finds the people that love that too. But I always like to give resources, because I know by no means I'm not the one who's invented any of these thoughts. I'm just sharing from my heart space what's coming up for me today. And they come from so many different things that I've learned, and teachers and stuff. And so something that a book resource I want to share, which I have to admit, I've only really started this book, and I have resisted reading it for obvious reasons. The same reason that I am working through this karma of really letting all the emotions be there. But I digress. It's a wonderful book, and whenever I sit down to read it, it is but anyways, it's called Welcoming the Unwelcome by Pema Chandran, I believe. Anyways, if you look up Welcoming the Unwelcome, Pema, I'm sure it'll come up. And something that the author speaks about in that book is that when we allow ourselves to feel the grief and the pain of these experiences, it so increases our heart space and our capacity for compassion for others. So just think about that. And there's even been like a study about taking ibuprofen, which is, in a sense, a painkiller. I don't know how intensely people identify with that term painkiller, but that's what it is. It's anti-inflammatory and it's meant to reduce pain. And that people who take ibuprofen regularly actually have like less ability to empathize with people. So that was an interesting study. I'm like kind of when I'm saying they have less ability to empathize with people, I am dumbing down those results a little bit. So again, like look into that study if you want the specific scientific results, but that's basically the essential thing about it. And so I think that it is so important to feel our pain because that is how we connect with other people's experience. You don't want a therapist that's never been through pain before, because they're just going to look at you and be like, well, just try these 3 things and get over it, or that's the way that it feels that they're saying. And you want someone who knows like really what your pain feels like. That's why support groups and stuff are so helpful, because all the people there have been through what you've been through. So just remember that, like, in living a life of love and service to others, when you choose to feel your emotions of pain, you are doing the collective consciousness such a service of presence so that you can hold them when they are present with their pain. And I know I said earlier that like the pain never stops, and that's true. Like there's no place where we're going to get to with this la la land where we never have to feel pain again. But that doesn't mean that like we don't get breaks from it. Like even throughout this video, I've noticed like my heart space like really swelling up and feeling a lot of pain, and then crying a bit, and now like feeling a little bit lighter as I've gotten to share some of these messages, and just imagine those that are watching like connecting with it and just feeling connected to life. So as we feel deeply pain, we feel deeply all things. And when we resist pain, we resist feeling all other things too. And so that's why all feelings are welcome, and there's no good or bad feelings. And we're not on a mission to try to make our lives only about those feelings that we deem as okay or not okay. They are all exactly as they are meant to be. And all we have to do is sit back and surrender and experience them with love and kindness and holding a space for ourselves. I invite you to let in breath, let in a physical touch, like how I'm holding my heart right now, giving yourself a hug where you squeeze your arms and you feel deeply that feeling of being held from yourself. To do in a meditation where you're imagining what color your aura is inside, what color naturally comes to you, and imagining that glowing brighter and brighter and holding you and spreading out to the whole world, that love that you emanate to. I invite you to look up a loving kindness guided meditation that you can follow as you're experiencing pain. And I send, my wishes to all of you that the pain that you feel will be like a cloud passing by that you can just observe, you can learn from, and you do not identify with that pain, because you are not that pain. You are the source, you are the experiencer of that. And you are gaining so much wisdom and so much presence from allowing that pain to be there and allowing it to come and trusting that it will leave when it's time, and that we don't have to pick that time. We don't have to force that. And that's such a relief, because it's all out of our control. All that's in our control is accepting all the love that exists all at the same time as the pain. And that is a daily practice. Just choosing to come back to that awareness and finding that love within. And then we see that love reflected outwards, and we see opportunities where we can give that love away. Even if it's just picking up a piece of trash on the street, or just noticing someone who needs a compassionate glance or some kind words. We give that love in those moments that we know that it's guided by Source, It's not a forced people pleasing or any of these old narratives of why we should be kind to others. It's really just an authentic being of expressing genuine love. We feel that love growing in us, and we see the power of it in our world. And we know the importance of that love even more deeply as we feel the truth of pain, that pain will come. And so we are guided to love more. Well, this message feels complete. Thank you so much for watching. Sending so much love to all of you who are experiencing pain, trusting that all of this pain will come and all of this pain will go. Bye.